What if a king goes against his own people? What if a country descends into civil war? What if a king loses his head? Well, welcome to the channel. Today we are going to look at the English Civil War, how, why, when, and the outcome. The year is 1642, and England is a powder keg. For decades, tensions have been simmering between the people and the king, Charles I, and now it all comes to a head. There are three major reasons for this powder keg. Firstly, religion. Charles and his Archbishop William Laud were seen by many as too sympathetic to Catholicism. They introduced elaborate rituals into the Church of England, which deeply angered the growing number of Puritans in Parliament and across the country. They wanted a simpler, more pure form of Protestantism. They feared a return to Rome. Secondly, power. Charles believed in the divine right of kings, that his authority came directly from God, making him accountable to no one but God. Parliament, however, saw itself as the voice of the people, with a right to advise the king and control the nation's finances. Charles's habit of dissolving Parliament when they disagreed with him and ruling without them for long periods fueled widespread resentment. And thirdly, money. Wars abroad and court expenses meant Charles desperately needed funds. Without Parliament's approval, he resorted to unpopular taxes, like ship money, a levy historically for coastal defense, now demanded from inland counties in peacetime. This was seen as a tyrannical overreach of power. These tensions came to a head in January 1642, fearing impeachment and a loss of control. Charles made a catastrophic mistake. He personally marched into Parliament with armed guards to arrest 5 leading members of Parliament who had criticized him. The MPs had been warned and were not there. This unprecedented act of aggression against the elected body of the nation shattered any remaining trust. London exploded in protest. Facing a hostile capital, Charles I fled, effectively abandoning his Parliament. By August, with negotiations having failed, Charles raised his royal standard at Nottingham, effectively declaring war on his own Parliament. The war lasted for years, fought between the Royalists or Cavaliers, supporters of the king, and the Parliamentarians or Roundheads. The latter were led by figures like the stern, brilliant military leader Oliver Cromwell. Cromwell forged the disciplined new model army, which proved superior on the battlefield. After decisive parliamentarian victories at Marston Moor and Naseby, Charles I was captured, and then the unimaginable happened. In an act that sent shockwaves across Europe, King Charles I was put on trial for treason by Parliament. On January 30, 1649, he was found guilty and publicly executed outside the Banqueting House in London. It was the first time in history a reigning monarch had been tried and executed by his own people. England was declared a republic, the Commonwealth, later governed by Cromwell as Lord Protector. But after Cromwell's death in 1658, the experiment in republicanism faltered. The nation craved stability. In 1660, the monarchy was restored with the return of Charles I's son, Charles II. The English Civil War was a traumatic period of immense bloodshed and radical change, but its outcome fundamentally reshaped Britain's future. While the monarchy returned, it was a monarchy forever changed. The war established the principle that an English monarch could not rule without the consent of Parliament. The concept of divine right was shattered. It laid the groundwork for a more constitutional monarchy, where the power of the crown was limited by law, paving the way for events like the Glorious Revolution of 1688 and ultimately, the parliamentary democracy we see today.